Welcome to Green White Checkers. First time on, wait for it, on our Regan's Corn Media Group page here on Facebook and on our RCS1 sports channel here on Regan's Corner. Okay, Nolan, talk about the Daytona 500.
Yeah, it was a great race. We really get to see the true horsepower of these cars for the first time on a super speedway, besides practicing and qualifying and even the duels. The 500 definitely proved to be something different, especially the ending there with Austin Cindric bringing home the win. A lot of guys up there we genuinely really haven't seen run up towards the front. With the last generation car, we've seen Michael McDowell up there, Brad Keselowski, Chase Briscoe, a Stuart Haas racing driver, normally who finished towards the back at the end of last year, ran up front, ran up pretty good for the whole last restart there. He kind of ran, I want to say, about fifth or so. I think he may have picked up an extra spot or so running behind Brad Keselowski right as Ryan Blaney got into the wall there, coming to the checkered flag. And also, I want to make an important point. Daytona took a bit of a beating, especially towards the Xfinity Series race. We had two turnovers. We had, I believe it was Harrison Burton in the Daytona 500, end up flipping the first flip of the next gen car at Daytona. Pretty interesting ride for him. Honestly, for flipping that car, really didn't take that much of a beating. Really, a true testament to how much damage these cars can take and how much of a beating these cars can take.
For sure, absolutely. But there's one car especially that took one hell of a beating in the Bush series, okay, in the Nationwide series. So talk a little bit about that car. That was a nasty wreck.
Yeah, a car went flying up into the catch fence. Off the top of my head, I can't remember who that was. I believe it was a front row motorsports car, but yeah, ended up going into the catch fence. We've seen a similar wreck like this. We can go back to Kyle Larson back in 2013 at Daytona. Similar situation. Kyle Larson's car went, I believe, nose first up into the catch fence. Tore the entire front of the car apart, tore the fence apart. Debris went up into the grandstands. In fact, I'll tell you this: at the Saturday Night Xfinity Series race, Michael Jordan was standing right where that car went up into the catch fence and had confirmed that there was debris from that accident that went flying over the catch fence on the backstretch to where the grandstands used to be before they tore those down. So it's kind of like almost like a reserved VIP area for a lot of people to go. And yeah, Michael Jordan was standing back there. Crash happened right in front of him. So, as a second year owner in the Cup Series, it's pretty exciting to see and a bit frightening too, if you got to say, honestly, to see something like that happen right in front of you. But yeah, nonetheless, glad I was told and seen on Twitter today that the driver of the car only had an injured foot, but he walked away unscathed. And another really true testament to what these cars are capable of safety wise. Had we looked back at this, late '90s, mid '90s, he may have not have walked away from that.
No, early 2000s. I don't think he walks away from that. Because Earnhardt, for example, he had a simple. We can't say he had a simple wreck, but it wasn't no near Newman or the wreck we just saw, and it broke his neck. So some of these drivers, he may have been lucky, but at the same time, with that kind of wreck, you don't want to. It's not. Maybe it's not a hopeful thing because thank God the neck braces are in. Thank God the catch fits, and then it's still a lot safer nowadays than even the early 2000s because we might have saw a tragedy before the big race if it wasn't in place.
Exactly, and I think we really got to give a lot of credit to NASCAR. NASCAR deserves it with the whole safety thing and the Hans device. The way the cockpits are set up nowadays, and especially the way the catch fences are. It's these catch fences have been rebuilt multiple times, and we've seen Lee Petty way back in the, I want to say, 1950s, 1960s. He went through the outside barrier wall and, in fact, flew outside the track. So, NASCAR, they've really come up with some great, ingenious ideas to keep cars inside the track when situations like this do arise. So, uh, good for them and good on Daytona for keeping their safety intact. I think a lot of the tracks they follow the same procedures as Daytona with the catch fence and safer barriers. They really go to great detail to ensuring that everything stays up to quality standards there. But I would want to make a quick point though. Going into Auto Club Speedway next week, Auto Club, that's a bigger track, and while we haven't seen accidents like what we've seen at Daytona, even Denny Hamlin, he broke his back there in 2013 in an accident racing with Joey Logano. But speaking of Auto Club, though, let's remember that they are going from a racetrack the size of even Michigan International Speedway down to a track about the size of Martinsville, maybe a little bit longer. That's a new addition to the Cup Series this year.
For sure, absolutely. And I feel like Bubba Wallace may be a sneaky pick here. But if you want to maybe hit the jackpot, we got the odds on Cody Ware and Michael McDowell down here. But we're not negotiating our picks through what we have on the bottom of the screen because we are here to give you the best chance on FanDuel or whatever betting site you have. Okay. So last week I had William Byron. Okay. Little 24 bias because I love Jeff Gordon. Uh, nice kid, but he got in a wreck. He got into the big one. Okay. And Nolan had Brad Kalowski. So he was closest to winning the first. So Nolan gets the first pick on the driver this week.
Yeah, I think looking at the statistics of short track racing, I'm going to go with possibly Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr., he's really figured out how to run a lot of these short tracks. Probably is one of the best guys out there. He's really good at Martinsville, spectacular at Richmond. Bristol, he's still figuring out. Remember last year he won the Bristol dirt truck race there, so I think coming into this new short track, while he didn't really perform all that well at the Clash of the Coliseum, coming into Auto Club Speedway, brand new short track, more his style of racing. So I think Martin Truex Jr. in the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing is going to have a true shot to win it this weekend. But also, I'm going to say, like you said, don't look out for Bubba Wallace. He's a really good short track racer, and he's got a true shot at winning this weekend as well.
I think I'm going to pick Bubba this week. I think I'm going to pick Bubba Wallace. Okay, number 23 in the Wheaties Chevrolet this weekend. Like you said, the track is going down to Martinsville. He's done well at Martinsville in the past with Truck Series and the Cup Series. Um, I think his good ride it continues this week. I think he's going to have a top 5 finish, Bubba. But I like your Truex pick too. I really do. It seems like Martin's had one hell of a year his last 5 or 6 years. Uh, but there's also you got Kevin Harvick who's looking for a win in regular season since maybe 2019 or 2020 at this point, 2020. So it's almost been 2 years for Harvick without a win in the regular season.
Yeah, that's the big one of the bigger stories going into this year is Kevin Harvick coming off of a winless season. Nobody's seen that coming after Kevin won, I believe, 7 or 8 races in the 2020 season, missing the championship for just by a spot. Of course, remember taking himself out at Martinsville in 2020, missing the championship chase. Chase Elliott won that year. And then, going into 2021, Kevin and no wins, but I believe he made it to the round of 12 and ended up taking himself out at the Charlotte Roval, trying to get a little bit of revenge on Chase Elliott for the race at Bristol. The two went back and forth now and then, and Kevin kind of just got too much in his head and took himself out there. So Kevin, he kind of he didn't really have the greatest race at Daytona. He was kind of in and out the whole day, but coming to Auto Club Speedway, I think he's got a shot. He could be a true contender here. I think he's got a little bit of fire underneath them, trying to show everybody he's not ready to hang it up yet, and he's still going to be a true contender. Now you bring up
But
Bubba Wallace, and I might want to make a good point there. It's Bubba's got a veteran perspective there, having Kurt Busch as a teammate this year. Kurt Busch, remember he was really good at Bristol,
mhm,
really good at Martinsville. I think those two are going to work well together this weekend.
for sure. I mean, that's a good perspective. But Alex Bowman, okay, number 48 was 88 last time he won in California or Fontana. Okay, last time they raced. I would say Alex Bowman is probably the favorite in this race. Okay, it seems like this is his track. Okay, because every Hendrix guy has a certain track that they're just great at. Okay, you got Chase Elliott, road courses, lock, game over. Okay, Alex Bowman has California. Okay, he's won there two out of the three times he raced there in the start of his career before they took the layoff to build a new version of the California track. So if the odds are right for Bowman, I might pick up Alex Bowman if on FanDuel and stuff like that as maybe a 2-3 car kind of throw the money at kind of thing this weekend.
Yeah, I think Alex Bowman could definitely be a good opportunity there. Remember, he did win at Martinsville in the fall this past year, knocking Denny Hamlin out of the opportunity to get that win. And although he did lock his way into the Phoenix Run for a championship, Martinsville slipped out of his fingers due to Alex Bowman racing him a bit harder than what he probably should have. But, it's going for the win. So I think it's excusable with the move he made there. But yeah, I think Alex Bowman, he's been really good at these short tracks, and I think Auto Club Speedway going to this new format of a racetrack. I think he's going to be one of the guys we'll see running up front a lot. I don't necessarily think he'll be the eventual winner. I think Alex Bowman, he's going to be a top 5 car, but I think he's still kind of in that learning curve. He did win at Dover last year as well, so he's getting better at the short tracks, but I think he still needs time to prove himself.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So the big boys. So where do you think Chase Elliott finishes this week?
Yeah, Chase Elliott, he's another good short track racer. We've seen him run up front at Bristol. He's got a win at Martinsville in the past as well.
Mhm.
Another winner at Dover as well. But I think coming into this weekend, though, Chase Elliott, I think, is a guy we'll see run in the top 10 all day long as he avoids catastrophe, getting into any sort of wreck or scramble with any other
Good.
driver. So I think Chase Elliott in the end ultimately will finish somewhere around, I'll give him about 7th to maybe even 3rd. Chase Elliott, I think he could possibly be a win, but not my pick. I think there's going to be a lot of people who bash on me for that, but I think Chase Elliott, like I said, although not the winner, definitely another top 5 driver.
For sure. Absolutely. I like it. I like it a lot. So what's the keys for these drivers in this new Fontana track?
Yeah, I think for a lot of these guys, it's kind of having to come into it, like I said, with Martinsville mentality. Keep your head cool. With these new brakes are bigger, they're thicker than what we've seen in the last generation cars. So I think these guys, just like running at the Clash of Coliseum, they're going to put a little bit of a test on these brakes and see what how they perform. And I think really going into it, we're going to see a lot of guys performing the bump and run move. So I think going further into the race, we're not really going to see a lot of it in the stage 1, maybe a little bit of it in stage 2, but going to stage 3, we're really going to see a lot of these guys using the chrome horns, trying to move each other out of the way for position jockeying for the win. So I think the biggest key point here is just trying to keep a cool head and trying to avoid the big one that could possibly happen. Of course, I don't think really anybody's seen the layout for what Auto Club is supposed to be in person yet, so perhaps the drivers have. Not many pictures have been released on Twitter, Facebook, or anything like that yet. So I think once we see it on television, being televised live, it's going to be a surprise to a lot of these fans. And when these drivers go into practice, that's when we're really going to see the true testament of what this track is going to be like for these drivers.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So what kind of sleeper should somebody kind of look for if they want to hit the jackpot with a reasonable kind of driver?
Yeah, I think with this next gen car, we're gonna have all sorts of sleeper guys coming up towards the front. But I think our biggest guys are gonna be guys like Ricky Stenhouse Jr., known super speedway racer, but he's also been good on the short tracks. I think another guy would probably even be Michael McDowell. He's a good short track racer as well. I think we could see him run up towards the front. But also a guy who's kind of been blown under the radar, nobody's really talked about all that much, is somebody like Christopher Bell, or a guy nobody else has really talked about a lot this season yet, Of course, we've only been at Daytona in the Clash, but Kyle Busch, Kyle Busch, he's a really good short track racer. I think we'll even see him run up towards the front a lot, being with Joe Gibbs Racing. He'll be teammate to Martin Truex Jr. But I think guys like that, though, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chris Buescher, even Brad Keselowski, number 6, Roush Fenway Keselowski, Roush Keselowski Fenway Racing Car. I think him and his teammate Chris Buescher are going to run really well this weekend as short track drivers.
For sure, absolutely. And as always, down below, okay, subscribe to our channels, and then we have so much good content all the time. Okay, we got interviews from Division One athletes. We have high school basketball. We have high school baseball, high school softball coming up, and we still have a little bit more to go here on Green Light Checker. So let's see here. Kind of going into momentum from Daytona. Who do you think the momentum comes here in California? Who do you think is California dreaming from their momentum from the Sunshine State?
Momentum based, I think it's going to be Chase Briscoe or Ryan Blaney. Those two guys are running up front a lot and really look to be key players in the Daytona 500. And Ryan Blaney, he's going to be aggressive. He's hungry to get that first win of the season early. I think he's one of those guys that feels like he still has to prove himself. Even though he's a solidified driver, I feel like he's built his foundation and showed a lot of these other drivers what he's made of. And along with the fans, he's showing these fans that he is a driver that deserves to be at Team Penske, and he's not going anywhere. And I think that's the point he wants to continue to make and show that he is determined and he's bound to make his way to race for a championship at Phoenix once we get to that time of the year. But until then, he's going to show the world that he is meant to be one of the greats like of this next generation. Just same thing for Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, guys like that. Ryan Blaney wants to be part of that class that'll be remembered going into the future once these veteran drivers move out and a lot of these newer guys move in. He wants to be one of those newer guys that becomes a household name. So I think Ryan Blaney will be a true threat.
For sure, absolutely. But Noah, like always, it's a pleasure being on with you and talking some NASCAR. I can't wait to see what our picks do. Hey, I could be 0-2 by the time we talk about the next track. Okay? So, hey, stay froggy, my friend, and let's get into the races. You know what I'm saying? And let's go.